Hello and welcome back to another episode of Visual Basic, or no, tutorial of Visual Basic 2010 with Hellfire 1997. Now, last time I showed you how to make our invaders drop their own shots on our player. So this time I'm going to show you how we can fix a little bug with that. Because the invaders will still drop the shot after they've died, and I'll also show you how we can add a scoreboard into our game. So first, this little bug fix is easy enough. We'll just come down to a subroutine that will sort out our aliens dropping the shots, and we come here. If ran equals 1000, because it's generated the random number to see if it drops them, we come below the part which tells it all to drop the shot, and we put in if aliens I dot top is greater than 1000, then so if the space between the top of the form and the top of the aliens is greater than 1000, they'll do this piece of code. And if as you remember for my previous videos, when our invaders die, we move them well below 1000. So this will basically tell it all to start firing the shot, but then it will check to see if the invader is dead. So if the invader is dead, we do AI shot bracket I equals false, and AI shot 2 bracket I dot hide. So all this is doing is then saying, oh wait a minute, the alien's dead, you can't drop the shot. So it makes the boolean variable equal to false, so it won't move the label, and it also hides the label again, thus making it, well, thus stops it from firing it. Now the main part of this episode, of course, is going to be making the scoreboard. So for this, we come on our design, we go on our toolbox, and for this we want another panel here. So we cover up most of the form with it, and this panel will control, or this container known as a panel will contain our scoreboard. So for this, we've just want a load of labels. We obviously want to be able to see our labels. When I find the color, there we go, white. So we're going to store 5 scores on the scoreboard. We want 5 labels to store the actual score. We want 5 to store the name. We're going to have another label and a text box up here where, when the player has died, the player can type their name into a text box, and they'll then assign that value, their score, to the name on the scoreboard. So if I was playing it, it would be, I'd type in Hellfire 1997 on text box, and then I would hit enter, and it would then reset the scoreboard and put Hellfire 1997 in 3rd place, for example, and put my score to the right of it. So first we're going to want a bunch of labels. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then we just want to line them all up. Right, all I have done here is I have changed the size of the font and the location of it, and I've also made our label to display name. So this is going to be the layout of our scoreboard. So now we just want to get a text box. When I find one, there we go. So again, just change the font and the size. That back up to here. Let's move this lot to the side just a bit. So what is going to happen when our player dies is this scoreboard will display on over the top of the previous panel which held the game, and here they will type in their name, and all these labels will be hidden in a sec. I will just change that to visibility false, and they'll type their name in, for example Hellfire 1997. They will then press enter, and that will reset this scoreboard, and then it will then display this scoreboard with their name and score in the correct location. Now again, just quick time lapse here as I've changed visibility to false on these. Right, so all those are false. Another thing we want to do is panel 2 here, we just want to change visibility of this to false, otherwise it'll display this panel over the top of our previous panel, and then they won't actually be able to play the game. So now we want to move on to a bit of coding. So if we just double click on our text box here, we get the subroutine right here. Now I don't believe we have a region for text boxes. No, we do not. So just create another region to store any text boxes in our program, and hashtag end region. Oh, what am I doing? I can't even end it right. Oops. There we go. Now it's ended. Right, so here is the subroutine for our box. So this is the text changed. So every time you change the text or press a button in the text box or anything like that, it'll come to this subroutine. But that is not the subroutine we want. We want the key down subroutine. So you just select this, come up here, and these are all the various subroutines you can get. In this case, we went for key down. So we can scrap this subroutine. We don't need it. This is the key down subroutine. So in this subroutine, the difference here is it will always, whenever you press any button in the subroutine, it'll come to this subroutine set. And you may think that's exactly the same as the old one, but what this subroutine allows us to do is it allows us to check which button is being pressed, so we can ask for specific keys. So in this case, well, it's just like what we've done back up here in key presses. Hang on. We use the same bit of code that we've used here. So we do if e.key value equals keys dot enter, then, and so what this does is every time any button is pressed with the cursor inside this text box, it will come to this subroutine. However, it will only do anything if the button pressed is enter. So here we just want to tell it to show all of these labels. Now if you want, you could get another container to contain these, and you could just do, for example, panel 3 dot show. However, seeing as though I can't be bothered with that, I'm going to do it the lazy way and just type out all the different labels. So I'll type in label 3 dot show up to label 12 dot show. Now, so here at the moment all it's doing is showing these labels. We haven't actually got any kind of scoreboard yet. So first off, obviously we want it to actually show this panel. At the moment this panel's just going to be hiding in the background. So we want to because we have a death message come up when our player dies, we don't want this panel to come up as soon as they die, otherwise it's just going to cover up that death message. So what we can do is we can add another timer in components. We'll just leave the name interval. Well, they're going to want enough time to read the death message and to just kind of gather the thing that they've died, so that's not going to take long. So if we say 2500 milliseconds, and before you start thinking that's a long time, that's only sort of 2.5 seconds. You can change this to whatever time you would like. You may decide you want them to wait longer, you may decide you don't want them to wait as long, whatever, but in this case it's going to be 2.5 seconds. So now double click on the timer. Again, that's brought the timer down there, so if we just bring it into our timer region, there we go. So timer 1, that is. So if we come to my subs, we want to come down to player death. Now one thing I have forgotten actually is we just want to enable the timer just to make sure it will actually start. Now if we come to player death, when I find which subroutine it is in, I think it's actually near the bottom. Here we go, player dead. We just do here, it stops the timer that moves all components. It's changing the image of the spaceship into an explosion. It's showing the label that says you've died. So we've just put in timer 1 dot start. If your timer doesn't work, it may not be enabled if you've forgotten to enable it. But if you decide you don't want it to be enabled, you can always put in timer 1 dot enabled equals true. So all this is doing is the same thing as this tab here. If you haven't enabled it and it's on false, this basically changes it to true and then starts the timer. So now if we go to the timer itself, well, first off we want timer 1 dot stop. We only want the timer to tick through once, and then we just do panel 2 dot show. So this timer will only tick through once. When it starts, it'll wait 2.5 seconds, and then it'll come to this load of code here. It'll stop itself, so it will only tick through once, and then it will show this panel. Right, now we will start on the actual scoreboard itself. So we need to come up because we need some variables for this. So we want 5 integer data types for our variables of the score to show the value of the score. So dim score 1 as integer, not dimzer, just dim score 2 as integer, dim score 3 as integer, and we want 5 of these to score the variables of our scoreboard as integer. So these will score, well, no, these will store the values of our scoreboard, but we also need data types to hold the strings or the text of the name. So we want 5 more, and we want these to be strings. Dim name 1 as string, and again we can just do list through name 1, name 2, name 3, and so on until we get to name 5. Not integer. String, and then dim name 5 as string. So these variable types will be what will actually contain the values of our scoreboard. So obviously we'll have our scoreboard here. So far, when the player dies, it waits 2.5 seconds. It then shows this panel, and with this panel these labels will be hidden, and they'll just show these components. We will type our name into here. As soon as we press enter, it should display these labels. So if we were to run our program now, start game, just kill a few for the sake of it. Right, let's just commit suicide. You've died. Wait a second, and here we go. It's displaying the text box and the name. It's still showing all the alien shots. We can prevent that though. So name Hellfire 1997, and here we go. It's displaying these labels. So now we want to work on the code to actually sort out our scoreboard. So now we start with the actual code. So at the moment, when we type our name into here and we press enter, it just displays these labels straight away. However, first obviously we want it to actually take our name and our score and insert it into the right place in our scoreboard. So if we come to form 1, if we go to text boxes, here is the code where if they press enter it will show these labels. So if we go on my subs as well and just come down to the bottom, here we can just insert the name of the subroutine, and we'll insert the actual subroutine here. So private sub scoreboard, enter, and here we can just put in scoreboard. So before it actually displays all the labels, here it will go to this subroutine, and it is this subroutine that will take the names, it will take the scores, and this will sort them all out and put them into correct place. Now, just so we can actually test it properly, if we come to our variables, let's make our scores have something. So score 1 has, I don't know, 100 points, score 2 50, score 3 30, just something like that. Now in your game you may decide to have like start them off so all of them start at 0, or you may decide to have higher scores. Whatever it is, completely down to what you wish yours to be, but in this case we'll leave it at that, and then we can test our code for sorting it out properly. So if we come back down to the actual subroutine, it will come to this subroutine first, and here we will tell it how to sort it out. So here what we do is we type in if score is greater than score 1, then it'll do this code, but only if the score the player has in this round is higher than all the other scores. It will do this code, score 5 equals score 4, score 4 equals score 3, and effectively all we're doing is moving all the scores down into or down the scoreboard. So here it's just moving all the scores down the scoreboard and inserts the new score at the top. And obviously we want to do the same with the names. So name 5 equals name 4, name 4 equals name 3, and again so on and so forth until we have all of them. Now name 1 needs to be equal to text box 1 unless you have renamed your text box. So we put in text box 1.text and they'll make the variable name 1 equal to text in text box 1 or whatever you have called your text box. Now the only problem with this is it will only do this code if the score is greater than score 1. Obviously that's going to move them all down. But if it's less than score 1 but more than score 2, it won't do that. Or if it's less than score 2 but more than score 3. So you need to repeat this and do more below, which I'll show in a second. But first, here is changing all the variables, but it's not displaying them yet. So at the bottom, we just type we've changed the text on each of the labels. So label 3.text will be equal to name 1, label 4.text equals name 2, and so on for all the names. Helps if you spell name correctly. And label 7.text equals name 5. So that will show all the names on here. Now we want to do the score, so label 8.text equals score 1, label 9.text equals score 2, and again just continue this out. There may be quicker ways of doing it. It is up to you. You may decide you want to set up a for next loop with an array or anything like that. However, in my opinion, by the time you have set something like that up, you may as well have just typed out all of this. Arrays are better when you're dealing with vast amounts of text or values or anything like that. So if you were to store something like, I don't know, 30 of these values or something, then you'd be better off use an array or maybe object orientated or something like that. So here, if the score is greater than score 1, then it will do all of this code. So time to test that out. Right, sorry about that. My screen capture seemed to have cut out for a second there. I'm not quite sure why. Anyway, I was about to test my program. However, I did kind of carry on, not realise it had crashed, and I actually found I really sucked at Space Invaders, as I haven't really played a game like it in a while. So I've decreased the value, so I've actually got a chance of like getting a score before like the end of the year. So obviously we need to actually get above 50 points, and hopefully that will prove to be a bit easier than getting 100. So just time lapse this part again, and hopefully this time I won't suck at it. Yes, I will get you. I will at least get to level 6. Ah, finally! That took way too long. How about I start doing videos at how to suck at Space Invaders? Anyway, test it out. You died. Wait for a sec. Here we go. I will sort that out. I will show you how to sort that out in a later video. I'm starting to take up a lot of time. and here we go. It has put our name up at the top. However, the reason it has not displayed any names here is because we haven't given our variables name 1, name 2, name 3 and all that any values. However, name 1 is showing this because it's obviously higher. My score is higher than this one, so it's taking the text from this text box. So, here with the overlap, that's easy enough to fix. We can just go on the Form 1 design, and you can just move these labels further to the right, or these ones further to the left. It is completely up to you, but that's an easy enough problem to fix. So, now we just need to finish off with the rest. So, for the next one, it exactly says this one, it just does slightly less. So, obviously, if score is less than score 1, it's going to completely skip all that code. So, we then just put in another one, if score is greater than score 2, then do this code. I've just realised one small error. We want to put in exit sub here. And the reason for this is, if score is greater than score 1, it's going to do all this code, and then obviously score is going to be greater than score 2, so it's going to do all of that code and all of the next, so your full scoreboard is going to be full of the same thing. So we put in exit sub here, so that when it's done all of this code down here, it will exit the subroutine and won't progress to do the rest. So here we do exactly the same down here as we did here. Score 5 equals score 4. Score 4 equals score 3. Score 3 equals score 2. But this time it is score 2 that is equal to score. Because obviously our score is lower than score 1, but it's higher than score 2. So it leaves these ones, and it just rearranges the order of these ones. So, again, we literally just do the same as we did before with the names. Name 5 equals name 4. Name, provided I can spell name right, name 4 equals name 3. Name 3 equals name 2. I did spell that right. And name 2 is equal to textbox1.text. And then we just rearrange the labels, missing out label 3 because that stores name 1 and score 1. So label 4.text is equal to name 2, and we just carry on as we did before, and I will now go into a time lapse to complete the rest of this. I'll show you it when it is done. Right, so here is all the code, and I admit it is a fair bit to type out, and it is a bugger, and the more scores you want to add, the more code you've got to type out, basically. If there is a faster way that you know of, then feel free to let me know, because I would love to know a faster way to do this as well. However, as far as I know, other than setting up a massive array, or something like that, and doing 4 next loops, this is the only way. And as bad as it sounds, when you're dealing with only 5 score, it's generally easier just to type all this out. So, all I would say is, while you are making your scoreboard, I have typed this one out in a bit of a hurry because I'm running out of time. just be careful, because it is easy to get like score 4 mixed with like name 4, or get your labels mixed up or anything like that, or forget one little bit line of code. Like at the bottom I've actually forgot, in a score is greater than score 5, I forgot to add exit sub. As luck would have it though, I've noticed, and 2, you don't actually need it for the final score because that is the end of it. So now if I can remember what values I actually set up, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. So now we just want to add one last bit. So obviously once they've been on the scoreboard, they've looked at the name, seen where they've could, moaned that they haven't got first, or feel joyful that they have got first, or whatever, they want to go back to the main menu. So if we go on toolbox, we put in button, we changed the text to main menu. Now this isn't going to completely reset the game. All this is going to do is hide the 2 panels. So if we click on that, just close all of these regions we don't need. Open button 1. So this is just going to hide the 2 panels. So panel 1 dot hide and panel 2 dot hide. So that's not actually going to reset the game, because we'll have to reset sort of the variables and things like that. However, this will get us back to the main menu. So now if we press play, start game, say like we get, let's try to get like 30 this time, somewhere in the middle, just to check it all works properly. Get 2 more points and that'll settle us. There we go. So 32 points. So now if we just die, come on, drop a shot. Thank you. So now type in our name, and as you can see, somewhere I have messed up. So I will look through that and I will show you how, well, I will find where I've gone wrong. However, just come on here. We know that this first part is all correct. So if you basically copy that, and then when you come on to the next part, you do score is greater than the second score, and you basically do all this again, ignoring the top label and your top value, so that it'll sort out all of that, and then it'll just sort out all the bottom 4, then the bottom 3, bottom 2, bottom 1. So it's all exactly the same, you just start adding less and less. So next time I will show you where I've actually gone wrong there. Also, I found that there's still a little bug with the alien shots fired. So in my next 2 videos I'll show you where I've gone wrong here, because I'm an idiot, how to fix that bug, and I will show you how we can make this game I'll show you how we can reset it. So I apologise for ending on a mistake. However, the general idea is here, and in my next video I will move to correct this mistake. Anyway, this has been Hellfire 1997, and thanks for watching.